France pays tribute to murdered schoolteacher Samuel Paty, with its students and teachers taking part in a minute's silence as schools reopen after a half-term break. Also, small businesses in France rise up in protest as the country is once again in lockdown. In response, the French government will no longer allow supermarkets to sell non-essential items during confinement. And we are just hours away before America votes in a new president, both candidates crisscrossing the country in last-minute campaigning, with many fearing an outbreak of violence the day after. Hello and welcome back to the France 24 newsroom. I'm Annette Young, and we begin here in France, where students and teachers across the country have paid homage by holding a minute's silence for slain schoolteacher Samuel Paty. He was brutally murdered outside his school in a Parisian suburb last month by an Islamic extremist, his death sending shockwaves across the nation and also beyond, sparking a debate about freedom of expression. France 24's Chris Moore sent us this report from a school in southwestern Paris.
These minutes of silence taking place in schools across the country. Teachers at one school we went to in southwestern Paris saying they wish they'd had more time to talk to some of their students beforehand. Students who in some cases don't feel that Samuel Paty had the right to do what he did, namely show caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad as part of a lesson about freedom of speech, a civics class. Now, tensions are high on a number of fronts internationally. There's been this boycott of French products, anti-France demonstrations in several Muslim countries after comments by the Turkish president that Emmanuel Macron was anti-Islam. A series of attacks here on French soil, including last week, the triple murder in the southern city of Nice. Now, President Macron has been taking to the airwaves, including on the television channel Al Jazeera, to defend things which he said in a speech prior to Paty's murder and since then, namely that France has no problem with Islam. Their beef is not with France's Muslims, but with radical Islamists who in some cases teach and preach values which are against those of the French Republic, particularly, for example, on gender equality. A difficult return to school today also for teachers and students on another front. France going into a second coronavirus lockdown, and teachers expressing some apprehension as to what the government said is an enhanced health protocol, whether those new measures will actually work.
Chris Moore reporting there. And staying in France, the French government has promised to support the nation's independent shops after small businesses fear losing their business to international giants such as Amazon. This as the government seeks to quell growing opposition to this second lockdown. From today, supermarkets will now be forbidden from selling non-essential items. Lauren Bearstecker reports.
Standing by small and medium businesses, French Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire said the government will do everything it can to support shop owners during the lockdown, including by helping them sell their products online.
Ce que nous allons faire dès cette semaine, c'est regarder comment concrètement nous pouvons apporter un soutien en conseil et un soutien financier à un fleuriste qui voudrait se digitaliser, un magasin de chaussures, un bijoutier de quartier qui voudrait se digitaliser. De quoi est-ce qu'il a besoin? Comment est-ce qu'on peut l'aider? Combien ça coûte?
New lockdown measures, which took effect Friday, have sparked anger among small business owners who have denounced unfair competition by large supermarket chains. In order to level the playing field, Prime Minister Jean Castex said Sunday supermarkets would have to close all aisles selling non-essential goods, such as clothes and flowers. But this did little to quell the fears of French shop owners, such as this librarian, who worries she won't be able to get through another lockdown.
Ce qui me choque, c'est que Bruno Le Maire, lui-même auteur, confine les lieux où il peut toucher des droits d'auteur, qu'il ne pense pas aux auteurs, qu'il ne pense pas aux acteurs, qu'on ne pense plus à la culture.
In a potential lifeline to small businesses, Bruno Le Maire raised the prospect of reopening some shops as early as November 12th, if the sanitary situation allows it. The economy minister said this could only happen under certain conditions, for instance, by having customers make an appointment before heading to the store.
And while the virus is far from under control across the West, in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the epicentre of the outbreak, life has returned to normal, as Catherine Bennett reports.
It's midnight in Wuhan, and the party's only just begun. This trendy nightclub has been packed every night since the summer. No more social distancing or masks. These young people are already living in a world without COVID-19. Life has resumed in this city with a population of 11,000. 10 months after the start of the pandemic, the streets of this historic neighbourhood are full once again, and shops and restaurants are open for business. It's no longer compulsory to wear a mask, although it's become a part of everyday life. This was Wuhan at the beginning of this year, shrouded in silence. Between the 23rd of January and the 8th of April, a total shutdown. People were banned from leaving their homes. Government workers brought bags of food to the foots of buildings to distribute to residents. This Franco-Chinese family were in Wuhan during those months of lockdown. Now that the city is free of the virus, many are wondering how in the rest of the world it could have got so bad.
J'entends ça souvent en France. On ne savait pas, parce que finalement on n'a pas beaucoup d'informations sur ce qui s'est passé en Chine. Mais moi, pour l'avoir vécu de l'intérieur, j'ai vu que on nous a forcés de rester chez nous. Ils ont fermé la ville entière. Ils ont construit 2 hôpitaux. Je ne pense pas qu'on avait besoin de beaucoup plus de signes pour se rendre compte que c'était très sérieux.
What was once the centre of the outbreak has now become one of the safest cities in the world. Officially, there hasn't been a single case of COVID-19 in Wuhan for 168 days.
And we're just hours away before America votes in a new president, today being the final day for Donald Trump and Joe Biden to campaign, the two men crisscrossing the nation, targeting those oh-so-important battleground states. Already more than 93 million people have voted early. It's a record figure, but the campaign is ending on a highly worrying note, marked by threats of violent skirmishes and street protests. Tensions are flying high also between Republican and Democrat supporters. There have now been 2 episodes of Trump supporters intimidating Biden followers in recent days, and the FBI is saying that it's investigating at least one of those incidents. Now, Florida is a swing state that's crucial for Trump in his bid for re-election. It's a tight race with Joe Biden, and both sides have been working furiously to mobilise voters. Trump telling his supporters at a rally that victory was around the corner, while the Democrats fearing hoping that the record high level of early voting will work in their favour. Our team in Miami sent us this report.
On Miami's Ocean Drive, people take a relaxing stroll, but the election remains in all minds. Florida is a battleground state, and Joe Biden's supporters dream of victory in this Republican stronghold.
I do have friends who are voting for Trump, and again, I just try to listen to them. There's really no, I can't fight with them, they're my friends, and it's just a matter of listening to their side, taking them seriously, not just calling them dumb or stupid.
Early voting is breaking records due to coronavirus, and the Democrats know each vote will count to beat President Trump.
A lot of people don't know that they need to check their ballot to make sure it's been received and counted. So there's a lot of ballots that have actually been received, but they've been rejected. So our job is to actually go out to those voters and give them an opportunity to fix their voting to make sure that it counts.
Florida is a must-win state for Donald Trump, so he's returned to Miami for a late-night rally. Thousands gathered to hear him call Biden a communist and target the media.
Oh, look at all the press at this time. Look at that. The fake news followed us.
By attending the rally, his die-hard supporters are violating the midnight curfew set to curb the spread of COVID-19.
I will be here as late as I have to.
To support our president, we'll do anything we need to do.
Biden can tell me to wear a mask, I'm going to tell him to shove it. Pretty simple. And it's a concept of my value set of what I believe life to be and my natural freedoms.
President Trump has been heavily criticized for his handling of the pandemic and for organizing such large-scale rallies, many saying that it has increased the number of COVID-19 cases across the country. And when you're here, one thing you realize is that social distancing is far from respected and not everyone is wearing face masks.
And that's it for this edition. Do stay with us here on France 24.